But there is a point that I want to make about people criticizing people. People, being a critic is like being God. You have the power to make people or break people with your criticism. See, the thing is that it really comes down to this. Critics don't even have to do the same things other people do. It's like there's a kind of criticism from one's own peers issue. And then there's criticism from somebody who doesn't even do what you do. It's like, when you think about it, it's just like movie critics or even book critics. You might have people who criticize other people's books. And they're professionals. They even get paid for it. And they got a lot of fans and people who love them for their criticisms. They may never write books, but they write columns about books. You may have people who never make movies, but they can criticize movies. And people who don't make music, but they can criticize music. And that's okay. I mean, our society, we pay people to even be critics. We even praise critics. Critics can even become heroes. I like Roger Ebert, for example. I always liked Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel when Gene Siskel was alive. I really enjoyed watching the At the Movies program and how they could really sort of go over, they could really rake over a movie real bad. Sometimes, especially when they give a really negative criticism, it would be so funny. Or when they would argue about something if they disagreed. And the critics can be a lot of fun to watch. But sometimes in life, we're trying to do something. When you're a person who's actually trying to do something, you don't focus on critics, or at least you shouldn't. I think if you focus too much on critics and you give them too much weight in what you're doing, you really wind up not doing anything. You become terrified. You become paralyzed with fear that you're going to be criticized. Everything you do, you're going to find somebody who's going to criticize it. So, there are times when that's a big barrier, like a big wall you have to overcome in life. Overcoming the wall of the critics. Overcoming the wall of the critics. My dog is over here eating on something, chewing on something. Missy, come here. You want to get back on YouTube again? This is Missy again. She's sitting up here. Her face is all dirty. She needs to be washed a little bit. But the point is that we have critics. People who criticize all the time. And there are a lot of people who can be who are not really professional or paid critics, but some people just enjoy that power. And they even enjoy the ability to put somebody down. And they become authorities in things. How can you become an authority? Think about it. How can you become an authority on something that you're not really good at? Like an authority on movies, and you're not good at movies. You're just good at criticizing movies. But you're not good at making movies. You don't really, if you actually want to make a movie, let's say if I were a person who was just getting into the movie making business, and I want to make a movie, I wouldn't really go to Roger Ebert for advice. Well, how to make a movie, or even how to make a good movie. Yeah, in some ways, knowing how to make a good movie, pretty much a good movie is a movie that you would like to see, so you already got that in your head. But if you want to know techniques, you would go to directors, people who have actually directed movies, actors who have acted in movies, people who make movies. But basically, if you're one who wants to direct it, you go and, you talk to people who are in that profession, who actually do the thing you would like to do. But you don't go to critics. Because critics, all they do is they just give you thumbs up and thumbs down. Now, I'm just using movie critics, but I'm just talking about any kind of critic. There are people who criticize everything about my life. They criticize the way I handle my finances. They criticize the way I dress. They criticize, at my job, they criticize the way I keep my desk. I had this one guy come by and tell me, well, that's not very professional the way you have it. You know what? The thing is that my way of keeping my desk works for me. It's comfortable for me. It works for me. And that's what counts. That's all that really should count. I mean, when people say things like that's not very professional, what that really means is, what they're really saying is, you don't keep your desk the way I would like to keep it. You're not doing things the way I prefer it to be done. I prefer things this way so that I can easily do this, and I have all my stuff labeled in alphabetical order. Well, mine's ain't in alphabetical order, but I know how to get things. I can find what I need. I can do what I have to do, and I can do the work I have to do. And I'm relaxed, I'm comfortable, and I'm enjoying myself, and I'm having a great time. My desk kind of reflects the fact that I'm having a great time. You know, when I make videos on YouTube, I'm just having fun. That's all. I'm not here for some great change the world battle. So one guy was criticizing me because I wasn't getting in the program. We have to change the world and change people's thinking. No, we don't. You do. I don't. I'm just here to have fun. And if people learn something from my videos, fine. And there are people who have learned things. You know, I made a video where I was showing how I give my insulin injections. And there were people who actually gave me a lot of praise and said that it actually helped them to overcome a lot of fears because I showed them how you can do it. And you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to be afraid of taking that shot or injecting yourself using a needle. And there are people who found that to be quite helpful. And I felt good hearing that. There are other times I make videos that are just funny, like on my other channel, my PH Lewis 86, the one I did called Death Row Final Meal. You know, it was just for fun. And one guy was getting all serious, like, there are people dying and da. Yeah, criminals who killed people. They're dying. You know, what can you say about that? There are people who can criticize my videos, and that's okay. And one of the things you have to learn is to not take things personal. That's the first thing. If you ever, you know, I was thinking about this one young lady who was on YouTube. She's still on YouTube. She doesn't make as many videos as she used to. But she used to always get into these battles with people who criticized her. And she'd turn around and call them all kind of negative names. And that just fueled this big battle. And I learned something just from watching how she went back and forth with these people. When somebody criticizes you like that, and it's not just criticism, people who are not your peers, and I'm going to use that word peers, people who are not your peers, they're not doing what you are interested in doing. And they're giving you some constructive criticism, or you can call it constructive advice. But whatever it is, they're being constructive in what they're doing. There are people who just want to put you down because it makes them feel good. It's just an ego thing. When you run into people like that, you have to size that situation up and deal with it accordingly. When someone is on an ego trip, I just ignore them. It's just that simple. If they say something too negative or nasty, I'll delete it. And if they keep coming back, I'll block them. Now, I've only had to block one person. There's one guy, he has some issues. You know. But generally, I don't block people, and I don't even delete stuff, even if somebody disagrees with things I say. But when someone's just going on an ego trip and they just want to say nasty things just because it makes them feel good, yeah, your stuff will get deleted. You will get deleted. And if you happen to be one of my subscribers, you will be kicked off. But generally, that doesn't happen. That's a rare. I have never had to delete a subscriber, ever. I've had to talk to one person who was on an ego trip, but basically I think he calmed down and eventually he quit. He decided to unsubscribe because he knew he couldn't tolerate my points of view, which is okay. I don't expect everybody to tolerate my viewpoint. That's life. We all don't see things the same, and sometimes people can tolerate and some people can't. My way of seeing the world is not for everybody. And I'm not trying to change the world. I just speak my mind. You know. And you just have to learn. One of the things I'm going to talk about later on in some of my videos are techniques for dealing with people who are critics, or people who try to put you down, or people who try to get in your way and block you, toward your achieving the goals that you want to achieve. And I want to give advice. I want to kind of be somewhat of a guru in that sense of giving some advice based on some things I know from actual experience. So that's one of the things that I might be doing on this channel, showing you that you can come up with solutions to things.